Browns. Well, except for they have too many quarterbacks in the building, including, hey, we just heard about him talking about Kenny Pickett, who Ryan not the biggest fan of, but Terry Bradshaw, very fond of in Pittsburgh. But here's Cleveland 19 sports reporter Ashley Holder on the latest on the quarterback conundrum from the Browns OTAs.
Today was the first day that we were able to see a packed Browns quarterback room hit the field during OTAs. Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, and Dillon Gabriel. Now, what we saw during practice was that the veterans took more of the lead when it came to those first-team reps and drills. So we saw a lot of Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. Pickett said while there is a hefty competition between these four guys, the outside world seems to make it a bigger deal than they do. He said they've all been able to build a good friendship and help one another inside that quarterback room. But Pickett does understand that there's a starting position wide open for the Browns right now, and he plans to practice like it's his.
I just always approached every day as if I'm the starter, no matter where I was on the depth chart. So even when I was in Philly, I would prepare as if I was a starter because, you never know when that opportunity was going to be to go play. And, you want to be as prepared as you can be. So I'm kind of having the same mindset that I've always had since college of coming in, preparing like I'm the guy. So, whatever happens, it's just another day because I always have that same mindset.
He's a guy that works extremely hard at his craft. I love the way he thinks about the game. He's very, very tough. So he's doing a nice job.
While Kevin Stefanski likes what he sees in Pickett, Stefanski reiterated that there is no particular order in how he lines these quarterbacks up.
We're mixing it up every single day, so that's why I tell you not to read much into it, even though you guys don't listen to me. But we're just trying to get guys exposure to different concepts, those type of things. So it varies by walkthrough, it can vary by drill. It's not something that we're really, we're not leaning into or worried about the order at this moment.
Notable players not here today: Jack Conklin, David Njoku, Joe Bitonio, and Myles Garrett. Stefanski said, look, these are voluntary workouts, so it does not bother him that these guys are not in attendance today. For now in Berea, Ashley Holder, 19 News.
Ashley saying no particular order for Kevin Stefanski. He said, don't read into it too much, but Breach, I think we got to read into it because how well equipped do you think Kevin Stefanski and the Browns are to handle this dynamic that they created with all 17 quarterbacks they have on the roster?
Well, if he's taking tips from Terry Bradshaw, Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter because apparently, as Ryan mentioned, Bradshaw is the president of the Kenny Pickett fan club. I don't know that Kevin Stefanski is going to feel the same way. But the one thing about Stefanski is if there's a coach in the NFL who I trust to make a decision in kind of a 4 QB battle, it is Kevin Stefanski. You look what happened in 2023. The Browns QB room was in total disarray. They used 5 different starters that year: Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jeff Driscoll, P.J. Walker. And despite using all those quarterbacks, they still made the playoffs. So Kevin Stefanski has proven that he can do well no matter who he has under center. Wasn't as successful in 2024 when he also had to play a bunch of quarterbacks. But you have a bunch of skilled guys. And I think the one thing that really helps the Browns is that you don't have to worry about Deshaun Watson. There was always a pressure to play him. So I think Stefanski's going to go out there. He's going to play the best quarterback, the true winner of this competition. I do feel like it's probably going to be Joe Flacco early on, but I won't be surprised if one of the rookies steals the job, ends up playing later in the season. But I do think Kevin Stefanski is well equipped to handle this.
No, that's exactly right, Breach. We forget, Kiana, that the Browns under Stefanski have won 11 games twice. He's been named Coach of the Year twice, and he's done it with an array of quarterbacks. And by the way, you could have given me, offered me $10 million to name P.J. Walker and Jeff Driscoll as the other 2 starting quarterbacks in 2023, and I would have lost $10 million. Great pull by Breach there. The other issue is this. This is the exact opposite concern that the Steelers have. And no one is better equipped to echo what Breach said than Kevin Stefanski to not only deal with turmoil, but to deal with quarterbacks and to coordinate up an offense and put the quarterbacks in position to have success, whether it's Joe Flacco, who's nearing 40, or whether it's 2 rookies in Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. We'll see where Kenny Pickett shakes out. It wouldn't surprise me if one of these veterans, and I'm probably leaning towards Kenny Pickett, ends up getting traded before the season starts. But I think the overall point, if you're talking about Stefanski and the Browns in this offense, they drafted 2 running backs. They're going to lean on the run game. And they drafted Mason Graham and then Carson Swenson Messenger, a defensive lineman, and a linebacker in the first round, and then at the top of the second round. So they're going to lean on their defense along with Myles Garrett. So whoever the quarterback ends up being, the idea is to make their life easy with a much better defense, and they should be better than last year when they got after his pass rushers, and also with an improved running game now that Nick Chubb has moved on after suffering that injury 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're only at the beginning of OTA, still got training camp, plenty of battles, anything can change. You guys mentioned trades, so still yet to be seen what's going on. Another day, another lack of certainty to who's going to be under center for the Steelers in 2025. Pittsburgh has been in a prolonged pursuit of former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who has yet to make a decision about his playing future as the Steelers began OTAs on Tuesday. Pittsburgh's four-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Terry Bradshaw shared his distaste in the team's handling of the quarterback issues in a radio interview on Tuesday. Here's what Bradshaw had to say on the Steelers potentially signing Aaron Rodgers, saying, quote, "That's a joke. That to me is just a joke. What are you going to do? Bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California, go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there." Ooh, some strong words there from the Hall of Fame quarterback. Go chew some bark, as we are now joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst Ryan Wilson and John Breach. Fellas, it seems like patience is wearing a bit thin out there in Pittsburgh, at least on the outside, as the Steelers' offseason workouts are underway, and still plenty of question marks surrounding their signal caller, or maybe lack thereof. But Ryan, Terry Bradshaw, extremely critical of their recent moves. He mentioned them mishandling Kenny Pickett also in that interview, and then calls signing Aaron Rodgers a joke. Do you agree with his comments when looking at the future of the Steelers?
Hey, Kiana. Hey, Breach. Good to see you guys. I consider myself an old person, and I am not familiar with the go eat bark lingo, so I'll have to put that down.
I had to ask what that meant. No one
rubbing that out. Yeah, so I'm trying that out on the kids and see what they think about that. That was a new one for me. Terry Bradshaw isn't necessarily wrong, and he is largely responsible for those 4 Super Bowls the Steelers won in the 70s and 80s, so he does deserve some respect. Darius Slay, who they just signed in the offseason to play cornerback, said today that it's very important to be at OTAs to build team chemistry and all the other things we talk about this time of year. Terry lost me when he said, "I like Kenny Pickett," because I got to pump the brakes there. But I think there is something to the idea that Aaron Rodgers probably should show up. And the counter argument, and maybe Breach will make this argument, is that when Aaron Rodgers shows up anywhere, he's like Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. It's going to be a circus. So maybe he's trying to put things off as long as possible. He's 41 years old. He doesn't need a lot of reps, so on and so forth. But I would argue that this Steelers team has been quarterbackless essentially since Big Ben retired. And Aaron Rodgers showing up for a year, as Terry Bradshaw suggests, isn't wrong. And then you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out where the quarterback situation is going to be in 2026. So there's a lot to sort out. I will say this, Breach. Mason Rudolph with that mustache and those clips we just watched looks like Aaron Rodgers, so maybe that's as close as we're going to get for now.
Hey, well, maybe Mason Rudolph is going to go eat bark somewhere tonight. Look, when you have Terry Bradshaw telling you to go eat bark, that is when you know your QB position has hit rock bottom. This is not usually the drama we see. The Steelers is one of the most professional organizations in football. The Blue Bloods, they don't usually deal with stuff like this. So to see all this drama happening, and not just that, you have TJ Watt skipping out on OTAs to a contract situation, and Terry Bradshaw isn't even the first person of the Steelers organization to complain about Aaron Rodgers stuff. We saw Cam Hayward say earlier this year, hey, look, if you want to be here, you need to be here, and Aaron Rodgers isn't. But the flip side is that if Aaron Rodgers had signed a contract in April and then skipped OTAs and minicamp, it would have been an even bigger deal like it was last year with the Jets. So I think if you're Aaron Rodgers and you didn't want to go OTAs, you're not under contract. Why sign a contract and skip workouts? Just don't sign a contract. And the one thing about Aaron Rodgers that I think we all know, he's a little bit petty. And when he does sign with the Steelers, you know what number he wears? He wears number 12. You know what number Terry Bradshaw wore in Pittsburgh? Number 12. You know what number's not retired yet, Ryan? Number 12. That would be the ultimate Aaron Rodgers revenge play, to fly into Pittsburgh in the next week, say, I'm wearing number 12, sign me up, let's go to practice.
Petty Patricia is what we're calling Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's not too far-fetched, but then I think about, it wasn't just about probably a year ago. We were sitting right here and we were talking about Jets OTAs, and I feel like we had a similar conversation about when Caleb Williams and his father, Carl, expressed